Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to Ask Us Anything. There will be four of us leaders in our, chosen fields that will be talking to you, engaging you on how exactly you can pick from some of our story to see how you can leverage that particular area to break into cybersecurity. And that's exactly is the major reason that we gathered here today. So it's going to be a journey from diverse backgrounds. I had my education in sciences and also in engineering. I never practiced physics for one day, never practiced engineering for one day, but here I am leading an enterprise risk management. And I'd like to know what Priya will say about a journey, what Imole is going to say and what Hanok is also going to say. So we're going to share diverse backgrounds of how we became successful in our careers in cybersecurity and risk management. To start with, I'm going to introduce myself. Then along the line, we have the opportunity to have our panelists also introduce themselves. As some of you may have known, my name is Raphael Olushola Adeyemo, and I'm currently working in an enterprise where I lead risk methodology and insights that is enabling the senior management to be able to say confidently if we are operating within the risk appetite of the organization or if we are outside of it. Because if you cannot confidently say yes to anything or answer in affirmative to anything, then you're creating more rooms for doubt. So I'm working for my organization to see that that is done. But these are just some of the other initiatives I do after work. I'm a community builder, as some of you residing in Toronto would have known for the past 6 years. Of my 7 years in Canada, I've been helping to build one of the most engaging community, not only in the GTA, but also in the whole of the North, that's Canada. I completed my MBA from Cornell University in New York, United States. I currently sit on the Harvard Business Review Advisory Board. I'm an adjunct professor. I'm also a program advisory council member at Northeastern University in Toronto. So that would be a little bit of my story. I'm also a mentor, I'm a career coach, but I don't want to bore you with that. If you think of cybersecurity or technology in general, currently, based on the survey or the workforce study of 2024 conducted and released by ISC, we currently have 4.76 million global GAP, that's short cybersecurity professionals across the world. So if you're asking, is there really a place for me? I would say yes, there is a place for you because you're still looking for 4.76 million people globally. And we have also seen an increase in this 19% year over year increase. That means in 2023 survey, it was not up to 4.76 million. So it has grown to this with 19% increase. And there are lots of critical roles that are still unfilled, and demands are increasing every day. Organizations everywhere across the world, in that your remote part of the world where you're living, they are struggling to find the talents to protect and grow in the digital first business or world that we find ourselves. Picture, I know I showed you 4.76 million globally, but if you try to break it down, Europe and Africa, and we bring it down home to those of us that have called Canada our home, we see that Canada currently faces a projected shortage of 25,000 cybersecurity professionals by this year, 2025. So there is a growing threat to our national security and to our economy. And if you move to Europe, you see that so many small, medium businesses are also vulnerable because there are not enough of professionals to protect the business. And if you move to Africa, where so many people on this call also are from, we have over 2,000 or approximately 20,000 certified professionals. So you can, if you look at it, the number of professionals that we have, the gaps that we have, then you see that there is definitely a space. There is a place for you in this field if you're able to get your things done. So what exactly we're talking about? Shortages, 4.7 million across the world, over 25,000 in Canada. What exactly is the impact? The impact is what many business leaders are struggling to accept. The impact is that the skill gaps is the same thing as the business risk. So when you think about, oh, I do not have enough people to secure my business, then your business is at risk. So more than 87% organizations experienced breaches in 2023 alone. I do not have the data for 2024 yet, or 2025 so far. But just to let you know, and it took more than a month for them to recover from this. 63% of them. You can start thinking about what exactly will have happened between that space of a month that they were trying to fix whatever issues that they find themselves. So cybersecurity is not just an IT issue, it is a business issue. It is a business resilience issue. It is the fact that, okay, even when you have an attack, which we always say in cyber, that it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. So when you do have, how quickly are you able to bounce back? And that is why, yeah, the shortage gaps, if we continue to have them, more organizations are going to be at risk. We are going to see more attack. We are going to see more breaches. And if care is not taken, it's going to take longer than 1 month for majority of those organizations affected to bounce back or to recover. Not to take a lot of your time, we've also seen a lot of projection over the years. It has been projected by Fortinet that $10 billion would be the global spending on information security and risk management by the end of this year. So what are they spending the money for? They are spending the money to get safe, to get secured. And we are going to do that. They will need to hire people. They will need to train people. They will need to retrain people. They will need to ensure that people have everything that they need to function, to thrive, and to secure their organization. So the demand for cybersecurity skilled professionals is actually outpacing the talent supply. And that is not excusing the experiences of so many people on this call. If you're saying this, then why is it difficult for us to get a job? Why is it difficult for us to break into cyber? I think we're going to provide a little bit of information that we have through our experiences and what we've seen work for other people, and hopefully you'll get a value from this session today. So before I move on to ask Priya to introduce herself, this is exactly why we are here today. We need more people to step into cyber and technology risk, because that's exactly how we can secure, that's how we can close the 4.7 million gaps that we have. And that is how everybody can have the confidence that our organizations, our own individual peer that is almost everywhere, that's how we can be confident that they're safe. So our stories, our lessons, our advice today are going to be about how we can help you to find your home path and how we can close the global gap. So I'll turn it over to you, Priya, for your introduction and your story. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for. Yeah, so by way of introduction, I'm Priya Mauli. I'm currently the CISO or Chief Information Security Officer at Sheridan College in Ontario. Sheridan College is a leading post-secondary institution here in Canada. So in my current role at Sheridan, I'm responsible for all things cybersecurity, privacy, compliance, risk management, and I manage aspects of physical security. and crisis and emergency response as well. Today, session cannot go by without talking about AI. So I'm definitely part of the AI working group at Sheridan, and I'm also part of the Strategic Advisory Council member to the CEO and to the board. So just by way of background, outside of what I do at Sheridan, I have over 20 years of experience in the cybersecurity, privacy, risk management space. And before I joined Sheridan, I spent a good 18 years in consulting, really advising the private sector. So predominantly global financial services firms, including some of the largest names in Toronto and in New York. And I also consulted for technology companies in the Bay Area as well. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me in terms of a professional. Just some fun facts is that, and I do like to say this, I've lived and worked in 6 countries, including the US and Canada. And the reason I say that is that, I mean, I'm proud of the opportunities that life has brought along, but the global exposure has really helped me work well in a multicultural setting by having a global mindset and also knowing how to work and communicate effectively with people from diverse backgrounds and different thinking styles. And it also helps you be empathetic and adaptable. Yeah, so some fun facts about me outside of the living and working in 6 countries is that if I were not doing cybersecurity, I would have continued writing poems. So I write a lot of poems, and then besides that, I do geek out on wildlife, and I love global travel as well. Okay, so I guess in terms of my career, because I think Rafael, you were asking about that as well. Yeah, very similar to you, Rafael. I did not have a degree focused on cybersecurity, and my path into cyber was not linear. I graduated with an engineering degree back in India, and I started my career as a software developer. And after about 4 years in development, two things dawned on me. A is that I wanted to understand the intersection of technology and business. And B is being a person that's motivated by challenges. I did want to challenge myself to become a subject matter professional in another area of technology. And this was back in 2010. Cybersecurity and technology risk was just being spoken about in India. So it did seem like a promising and upcoming field. So I did want to immerse myself into that field. But this did not happen automatically or organically. So how that happened is that after my software development days, I went on to pursue my MBA. I guess very much like yourself, Rafael. So I pursued my MBA, and after that, I landed roles with the big four consulting firms, starting with Deloitte, and that's where I really started focusing on initially enterprise risk management. But again, it was just a matter of time before I realigned myself to technology risk and cybersecurity because I had the 4 years of technology grounding anyway. And then what happened was that I relocated, moved lock, stock, and barrel from India to North America, actually to the US, San Francisco, back in 2014. And when I moved to North America, sure enough, I do want to say this here, I did want to live the American dream, right? So, which is what made me move here. And so, when I moved to the US about a decade ago from India, I was very excited about moving to where I believed there would be a level playing field for everyone, meaning it's solely merit that takes you to anywhere you want to go and no bias exists, is what I thought. And boy, was I mistaken after after I relocated to the US. And I'll tell you this, I guess for similar to some of you here as well, as a colored Indian immigrant woman, I did not have the most accelerated career. It was not a smooth sail, but you can buckle up under pressure, right? What has served me well was that I'm inherently tenacious, right? Persistence. I keep going until I know that, something's just not realistic to pursue. And so when I saw that a merit based system without biases did not exist even in the Western world, that's when I decided, okay, I am going to double down and go all in to change things. I had to build a public persona or a brand for myself in the public stage. So what I did was that I did push myself outside my comfort zone, and this was about a decade ago, in terms of becoming a thought leader in cybersecurity, right? In terms of becoming a public speaker on sharing, say, best practices, providing insights on current and upcoming topics, and That didn't happen overnight. That took a few years to pan out. It did happen. And once I had this kind of public brand, I really doubled down on DEI and really empowering, people from diverse backgrounds to really get into and break into the cyber career. So I do take a lot of time outside of work to do mentoring and coaching, very similar to the sessions like here. So I guess that's in a nutshell about me. But Rafael, any other aspects you wanted me to highlight?
I guess you're still going to get a lot of questions from our audience, so let me let you catch your breath while I turn it over to Hanok.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Anouk Bandal here. Thanks, Raf, for having me and Priya on this panel as well with Imoy, and really looking forward to joining all together. I'm sorry, having a bit of a cough that I've been dealing with. That's why I had to jump online a little bit later. Yeah, looking forward to having a meaningful discussion with everybody here, and a little bit about myself. So, as my name might suggest in my LinkedIn profile, if you've seen it before, I don't come from a traditional cybersecurity or technology-based background. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I initially have been trained in the medical sciences. I did my undergraduate in biology and psychology. Interestingly, I like to think of myself as a people person first. And I think that's another topic that I'll touch a little bit on further on in this conversation. When we discuss technology and the people element of it, we as technology professionals always double down on the tech itself, and we kind of forget about the business or the people behind it that are required for everything to function, and why the technology is there in the first place. It's the people and the business requirements, right? So anyways, all that's to say, my actual degree was in a non-technical background. However, I was very technology savvy from a very young age. Me, being of Indian descent, I come from a family of multiple healthcare professionals. It was almost ordained from day one that, hey, that's what you have to do. You're going to go down the path of being a doctor or a dentist. Maybe we'll consider a lawyer. That's about it, right? So technology roles weren't really a thing in my family. So to kind of pursue that innately when I was very young was kind of, I guess, a testament to marching to the beat of my own drum. So when I was a teenager, and I'm probably going to be dating myself here now. When I was a teenager during the days of AskJeeves.com, so this is before YouTube, before Google, there was no, large search engines. It was this one website that was relatively popular. Yahoo might have been the only other one that had information available online. And when I say information, it was rudimentary articles that you had to read and figure things out, and they may be relevant to what you were looking for. That's about it. Otherwise, you have to go look at actual physical books, right? So I basically self-taught I self-taught web programming and graphic design because I had a bit of a creative mindset when I was a child. And that was my segue into the tech world to start. So, I was able to learn PHP and HTML coding during the early days. We're talking late 90s, early 2000s. And at the time, everybody wanted to be online. There was a demand for creating content, things of that nature. I guess nothing's really changed. We're still creating content today at a much rapid pace. And that was my segue into being able to really learn more about the technology world on my own. So I guess that was a little bit of entrepreneurship where I ended up, building websites, including the graphic elements, as well as the actual code for the web page, and putting it out there to market for strangers for all intents and purposes online on AOL Messenger. However, I kind of parked that in the back of my mind for a while as I pursued the sciences. Being a very, natively curious person by nature, I kind of, I have interest in all elements of the various sciences, whether it's physical, biological, or even in this case, computer and technologies. And after a very long career in the medical sciences, I came to the realization that I was pursuing it for the wrong reasons. And I actually had a lot of self-doubt at that time because, when you commit almost a decade of your life to training and education in a field that now you really don't find yourself not having much of an interest in, it's a bit daunting and making that jump. And I think there's many people in the audience here, many people I've spoken with over the years that ask themselves the same challenging question, right? I've committed myself to X, how do I pivot now to Y, right? And I think in today's professional world, in our careers, pivoting is almost part of the game. It's part of the actual, it is the career itself requires pivoting in multiple times throughout our lives. And that basically drew upon me that in order to make the jump, I had to convey the set of transferable skills I have from my previous career into what I have now, right? So when you think about the scientific world, the medical professional world, things of that nature, it's really about understanding complex, intricately tied together concepts and how do you put do you translate that into the tech world, or in this particular case, in the cybersecurity domain? So cyber is another element that I want to talk about as well. Is why did I pursue that instead of something else that's a broader technology focus? In that case, it really came from my passion for putting things out, putting out fires. Maybe I'm a bit of a masochist or something, but I think many elements of my personal life and professional life as well, I'm sort of drawn to complex problems and solving them. I don't know why I keep doing this. I probably should, address that at some point in my life, but I figured, cybersecurity is has the same sort of principles as healthcare, right? You're trying to protect something from damage. You're trying to let it heal when it is damaged. And how do you make sure it keeps going the way it's intended to, right? So a little bit of parlays in the requirements there that kind of touch upon my previous professional education versus where I pivoted to afterwards when I pursued a degree at Ryerson for cybersecurity. So that's a little bit more on the personal side, but and I guess a bit of a career side. But I really want to mention what I really do today after these several years of a fruitful career in cybersecurity. So I work in professional services. As Priya mentioned, she's worked for some of the big consulting firms, and that's also where I am today at KPMG Canada. But of course, I have to put a disclaimer that everything I speak about or represent today these views are my own and not those of my professional employer. So that said, this is my first foray into consulting, and prior to that, I was actually in industry. So when I pivoted into cybersecurity, I had the great misfortune, I guess you could say, of trying to pivot right in the middle of COVID. So when I was doing my degree at Ryerson, I was graduating, and COVID started, and that was the summer that I was looking to gain a foothold in the industry. Lo and behold, hiring freezes across the board. Unfortunately, some people were laid off as well. All that's to say, it was not a great time to try to jump into something new as a starter for a career point. Nonetheless, I remained persistent that this is what I was going to do. I reached out to folks online because, of course, everything was virtual at the time. I reached out to individuals at various banks, at various consulting firms. Just trying to learn a little bit more about what do they do in cybersecurity, right? There's so many domains. We have incident response, there's IAM, there's security operations, there's governance, risk, compliance, so much more and with it. And now I'm sure there's AI elements of it as well. We can't seem to escape that buzzword these days. My mindset at the time was to just learn about the different domains and see what might appeal to me, right? And also that way I can get a better feel for what it is like to actually have a job in cybersecurity. What does it mean to do that day in, day out? Similar to medicine, when somebody says, oh, I'm a doctor, well, what does that mean? Are you a family physician? Are you a pediatrician? Are you a surgeon? What element of medicine do you practice, right? And that's the exact same thing with cybersecurity. If you say I work in cyber, well, what element of it do you actually do? Are you in incident response? Are you an IAM, et cetera? So that was my outset. That was my goal at the outset, is to figure out what are the domains and what appeals to me. And naturally, that kind of leads you to building rapport with individuals in the industry. You stay connected. And you also express interest in being able to look for any entry-level positions or even co-ops at that time, which is what I was pursuing. And as I mentioned, and Priya alluded to as well, tenacity and persistence is the name of any game, right? So kept at it, and I was fortunate enough to land a co-op at one of the big banks, which then converted into multiple full-time opportunities at very early on, actually at the 4-month mark. So again, just seeking roles that have a lot of cross-functional visibility is paramount, I've found. Because that gets you not only exposure to different stakeholders, but it lets you solve problems that gain the right type of visibility with leadership. So I had several roles in industry at that point, mostly focused in the threat detection and response domain. So think of anything related to SIM, SOAR, UEBA, logging, monitoring, anything the Security Operations Center touches. That's where I started, and sort of stayed connected in that pipeline for several years before moving into a GRC position at another financial services industry and prior to joining the consulting firms. And that's where I am today. And I absolutely love the pace and the rapid fire element of learning as well, and being able to address multiple layers of complexities for client needs, things of that nature. So far, so good. And I think I may have found a home on this side of the shop. So happy to share those insights as well as we kind of get going and discuss things later on. Over to you, Raf.
Oh, cool. Thanks so much. Let's just go to the HR strategist and hear what they'd like to tell us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. I think I'm the only different one amongst you guys. You have all the gurus, the Priyas, and Anouk, and the Raf himself, but I'm so glad to be here. My name is Imole. You can simply call me Imole. That's my name. And don't worry, I'm not gonna, go very exhaustive like this on that powerful guys. I just say my journey has been characterized with growth, right? With different levels of transition, change, challenges, but more importantly, growth. So right now I'm an HR dude. I've been in HR now for 16 years actually next month that I've been doing HR, and very passionate about HR. Right now, I'm the lead strategist, lead principal consultant for Luminous Consulting. I run my own consulting firm, right? So that's after working in HR here for some years. My last full-time job, I worked with Coca-Cola Canada. I was a regional HR manager. Beyond consulting, what else do I do? I teach. I teach in University of Calgary. I teach HR. I also am a community man like Ralph. Some years ago, about 5 years ago, I when I went through my struggles, and maybe if I have opportunity to share my slides, I'll share a bit more about that. I realized that a lot of immigrants come into this country and they get stuck. I realized a lot of immigrants, with all the global competencies, navigating the city, understanding how to navigate the marketplace is difficult without help. So I started this community. Well, strict for HR professionals. We're over 1,000 members right now. And we help each other transition, help each other deal with the daily nuances of HR, help each other understand the Canadian context and position to win in the marketplace. So that's why I started community. My journey, like I said, has been characterized a lot of transitions and change. But interestingly, I've stuck to my HR path. And one of the things that I find to be most critical is there's room for everybody in your world, in cybersecurity world. There's so much room. I mean, Ralph gave the data, talked about what the opportunities there, but positioning supersedes pursuing, you know. And once you start your journey and you begin to understand some of the key anchors, part of my own anchors is on learning and relearning. Part of my own anchors is similar to the gentleman and the wonderful lady is going back to school. Part of my own anchors, is building certain critical level of visibility and strategic position. And what I mean, like I said, is also saying how I've sat on both sides of the table and seen how sometimes we find our people, and when I say our people, immigrants in here, sit on the other side and sometimes really struggle to articulate what you carry on the inside, the solutions you are able to proffer to the organizations. But more importantly, I'm glad to be here. I share on platforms like LinkedIn. I'm passionate about HR to the core. That's my whole life. And if I'm not doing any of those things, I'm blessed with one wonderful wife, just one, and two lovely kids. We are based out of Calgary. I spend a bit of time with them, but as a businessman, it's not 9 to 5, it's 5 to 9. So I find myself doing a lot of work, but more importantly, put systems in place as much as possible, because after a while, the scripts flips. So I think it's also critical to understand your seasons and your phase and what is important to win in that phase, right? Especially in the world of cybersecurity or your career. So that's a bit about me. And again, my name might be difficult to pronounce if you're not from my part, but just call me Imo or Imole. So once again, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, everyone, for sharing a part of your story. And also, I think in between, you were able to provide some points that I think are very important, like positioning yourself, like ensuring cross-functional visibility, as Anok mentioned, being persistent, tenacious, as Priya mentioned as well. Also, one thing that you said, Priya, you said you've seen it in India, you saw it in the United States, and even when you go to Canada, you realize that the level is not playing, right? So, and you expected things to be based on merit, as we thought, but most times they are not, because there are lots of things connected to it. And that's why you need to also be visible. You need to also just get out of your comfort zone. You need to put it out there. You need to also articulate very well. And I think Anok also mentioned that. What are the transferable skills that you have that it's not that you have those skills, but you also needed to let people see that I have these skills. I think that is the major area that most people that are trying to pivot, and even people that are also stuck, in one role, that is the major challenge. Your ability to articulate fluently, confidently, the transferable skills, what you're able to do, even though you may not have all the skills. A colleague at work was sharing something with me on Wednesday. She said she applied for a role and she really didn't have experience in that role, but she did applied and she got an interview. So, do you have this experience? She said, no. Then why did you apply? She said, because she wanted to learn. Because if she can do the job, then she's probably not fit for it. If you're 80% qualified for a role, then that role may not really be for you. So, and she got the job. She told me that she was not sure if that was exactly what changed their mind or what made them, release the job. But as you mentioned, we needed to understand what exactly are those transferable skills and how are we going to articulate it so that the interviewers, the people we are talking with, can see that we have what it takes to succeed on the job. And I think one other thing, maybe we can take a poll later, maybe we can go into a debate. I think there are not so many entry-level roles in cybersecurity because I believe most organizations are not ready to train you from ground up. So when you're coming, you needed to just say, okay, these are the things I am bringing. In my culture, they will ask, what are you bringing to the table? So you needed to let them know that, okay, these are the things that I have. It's not like I do not have anything to contribute. So based on the questions submitted by the audience, I categorize them into three. The career pivot and entry strategy, we have the certifications and learning path, then AI and emerging technology related questions. So we're going to take some of these questions. Then if you're with us in the audience and you have any question, please raise your hand and I'm going to call you. Then because I do not have anybody managing the chat. So if you have, you can raise your hand and I will let you ask your question. So if you're starting with the career pivot and entry strategy, we have these top questions from each of the area because we are not going to have the whole of the day. How can I switch from a support to a cybersecurity expert position? That was a question. And I think I can take that because I relate well with that. And you guys can jump in to provide maybe additional comments. I didn't really tell you a lot about my story. I just said I was trained in engineering and sciences, physics to be specific. And I moved to Canada and I didn't want to do support again. I was very tired of it because users, we call them users, or we call you people users in support world. So users in Nigeria, users in my village in Ibadan, users in Canada, they are the same. I said, okay, I needed to do more than this. Then I went to school. I know Imole mentioned it and I said it. I went to school for 8 months. That was exactly why I came from Calgary down to Ontario and I've refused to leave. So I think it's very easy for you to switch from IT support, backside support, user support, service delivery, or service management professional to cyber. And I used to say this to people that you just need to work out your strategy. And what is strategy? Simply to me, it's how you win. So how exactly am I going to get this role? And that was the position I found myself in 2019. And all I did was to go to school. And while I was in school, I said that I needed a job after school. So the next question is not just after school, immediately after school. So the next question that time was, then how do you get a job? What do you need to get a job? Okay, I need this, I need this. So I went to LinkedIn. I saw somebody with a similar profile that I was trying to build. She actually walked the walk. She did the similar program in Edmonton, 8 months. Then she has a job. So I look into her profile, like, okay, what did she do? Then I tried to message her. We were not able to connect. We just had a few chats. She told me the certifications that she did. I just applied that template to my life. So I would say that it is very easy as a support. You just need to, number one, as Anuk said, transferable skills. What are those skills that you have? You've been working, most likely you've worked on user provisioning. Most likely you've done identity and access management a couple of times because you're supporting users. So those are things that you need to highlight in your profile, on your resume, and you need to target some certifications that can help you build it out. And the last I would say before I ask other people have something to say would be, yeah, network and network and network. Meet a lot of people, build relationship. I do tell people when you network, do not push the frustration in your life on their faces. Just build a relationship so that they do not get overwhelmed and start avoiding you. So just network, build a relationship, be friendly, and yeah, I will just stop there and see if we have more to share.
Oscar, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, hi Rafael, good to see you again. I think you answered the question partially when you were starting your presentation, but one of the things I've always wondered when you are inside, inside the industry, you are in cybersecurity in whatever, field or capacity, you have a better sense of what the needs are and what the requirements are. And since I started, pivoting to cybersecurity, because my story is a little bit long, but just to give you a short idea for context, I was a senior manager at Scotiabank. My department got basically, reorganized, and a good number of us got out. So I decided to pivot to cyber. And when I did that, I noticed that there was a lot of demand for the industry. So I said, okay, I like cybersecurity, training on my own, so it's time for me to jump in. And I'm talking about almost 2 years ago. So I've tried to do all these that we've been talking about, networking. I live in Canada. I've been involved with the certain organizations in the banking industry. But the common denominator is that even though there seems to be an offer of jobs, at the end of the day, there is no money, right? Because I've been rejected about 5 times after saying that the position was no longer required, or they simply cancel that. So my question at the end of the day is, what is the actual perception of cybersecurity? And I'm mainly interested in the GRC area, the governance risk management, which is more aligned to what I used to do at the bank. So what's your perspective if somebody can give me your thoughts on that? Thank you.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
I have a couple of thoughts on that one. So I understand that you're a seasoned professional in technology, trying to transfer those skills, as I alluded to earlier, into a cybersecurity career. I think from what I've noticed personally in the last, I want to say 12 to 24 months, is the entry level roles are not as readily available as they were before, right? It seems like a lot of organizations are seeking folks with at least 3 to 5 years of experience in the domains themselves. And I think the larger macroeconomic situation has resulted in a lot of contraction in entry level roles as well across the industry. I think that's what you alluded to earlier, Oscar, that you've gotten into the cycles for the interviews in these positions, things of that nature. You've gone through the motions, and unfortunately, at the end, they had pulled the job racks. I know from and this just again a personal observation, nothing to do with my professional capacity with my employer, but on a personal level, I've seen in the field at large that a lot of roles had been retracted in the last few years. So it's just an unfortunate result of the macroeconomic climate that we are in. Things were significantly more lucrative, I think, and many folks on the call might agree, like 3 to 5 years ago, especially during COVID. It's right now it's a bit of a holding pattern as well. I mean, I experienced the same thing when I pivoted in 2020, and June was when I graduated from my program, the accelerated program. And again, hiring visas, let alone new opportunities, were non-existent, right? So at the end of the day, it was just about continuing to network with folks. And I know you've mentioned that you've tried that, or other people do that as well. I think it's just more about trying to stay connected with individuals and generally trying to learn about what they're doing. So and expressing an interest in some of those commonalities. That's what helps you build that repertoire a bit stronger, instead of someone that comes off as, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing or anybody else is doing, but this helps people build the perception that you're quote unquote just looking for a job, right? When nobody wants to be able to extend somebody, an olive branch that they don't know, right? It's hard to put your stamp and your approval into recommending a candidate when you haven't built a repertoire with them, and that takes some more genuine connections and a bit more time as well. Any other thoughts, team?
Yeah, I'll probably offer a couple, Oscar. And by the way, I'll tell you this. Truth be told, yes, I've been there as well, right? And I know the market is not easy. So Three things that come to mind. So I would say that, yeah, with respect to entry level jobs, yeah, I do agree that there's not a lot of them. But I think it's important for you, like if you're making, since you were saying that you were a seasoned professional in GRC, I think it would help if you're open to taking a step down in career as well. Again, like to just to get restarted in the job market, because again, I'll say it's not a candidate's market today. That's just that's just being very honest there. Yeah. So that's one thing, and then the second thing is absolutely yes, leverage the power of networks, right? Like there's a lot of networking events that happen every day. Sectors coming up next week. So absolutely.
I'm actually going.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. So in sector, I mean, there's a lot of networking forums, and then there's a sector after parties and all of that as well. So definitely do that. And then the third thing I would say is that be active on LinkedIn in terms of thought leadership, right? Like, for example, if GRC is your forte, talk about, what the next evolution of GRC looks like and how your kind of experience lends themselves into how you can, help the industry. Not in terms of, being desperate on LinkedIn, but then, frame it diplomatically. Sure enough, make use of Gen AI tools, right, to make sure that you have a compelling LinkedIn post, but build yourself as a thought leader out there as well, so that recruiters kind of come to you as well, right? It's more of a pull factor than a push factor. Sure enough, you try your networking as well, but again, like recruiters and hiring managers may be drawn to you because of your thought leadership on LinkedIn. Besides that, I will say, yeah, just definitely keep an eye out. Keep an eye on all the job portals, right, like LinkedIn, Indeed, Dice, Google search, and all of them.
So I'm just going to add to what has been said. Keep doing what you're doing, maintain the pace. Now see if you have more capacity, then do more. I used to tell people, irrespective of the number of rejections that you have received, you cannot stop, you cannot back down. You just keep doing it. Like now you've gotten more recommendations, like, okay, go more on LinkedIn, be a thought leader, write more on that particular area where you are or where you're trying to build into. And I think very soon, I hope you'll be able to get what you're looking for.
Sorry, Raf, before we wrap up that question, and there's a few more hands in the audience that are up as well. I just want to add one more thing, because now you reminded me of something when you mentioned that to remain persistent and don't give up even when you're facing rejections in the face of rejection. I'll just share a personal story, because I think this was I feel really strongly about this topic. So when I was trying to pivot into the industry as well early on, as I mentioned, COVID, hiring freezes, nothing really out there for entry-level roles, let alone somebody brand new to the industry. That persistence really demonstrated in me landing that first role, because initially, like you were saying, Oscar, you'd interviewed, you'd gone through the motions, and then the job was pulled back. I experienced the exact same thing. I had gone through a long interview process. We're just waiting on contracting and paperwork to begin that. It was just a co-op role, even that, right, at that point. And I was very sad to hear at the 11th hour, I think it was like 2 days before Christmas. So great timing, right? Yeah. At the 11th hour that the job was no longer available. So of course you were met with a lot of disappointed feelings in yourself. You question what you're doing wrong or what you could be doing better. But at the end of the day, I reached back out to the hiring manager, and I expressed, my greatness for being considered for the role, and as well as just letting them know that, look, if anything does change, I'd love to just remain connected. This opportunity may have closed for this cycle, but for the next one, let's stay in touch, and I would love to learn more about what your needs are and what your requirements are, so I can be better positioned for that opportunity. And I think keeping that dialogue open is what actually led me to, which is actually what led me to landing that original position a month later, when they actually were able to reopen it. Had I sort of maybe parked it and left it at that, I mean, I have been, at their top of mind when they were actually had the requisition back open. So just another story I wanted to share on that thread, that you still got to keep pushing even in the face of rejection.
Yeah. So I say to you that before I got my first HR job, I applied 600 times. 600 application, and that 600 application was just on Indeed. Indeed told me I did 606, and so that's different from the ones I did directly on the website. That's different from the ones I did on LinkedIn and all of that. But I think if you really, as an immigrant, if you want to break into the cybersecurity space, three things I'll say to you that is critical. Number one is mindset. Number two is positioning, and number three, systems. Some of these things has been mentioned in part in terms of LinkedIn and all of those things. But you need to have that mindset that, hey, you're coming into a new space, new environment. I always say this to people that your competencies are global. There is so much you have to offer that is not limited to Canada alone, or it is not limited to the organization you want to enter into. You have something to offer them. So you need to first see yourself as somebody who can solve a problem. You need to first see yourself someone that has skills and competencies that organizations need, right? And if you're new into cybersecurity, for instance, you're not new in context. You have transferable skills, right? So I've been seeing that there's no much entry roles and all of that. I say number one, from a mindset angle, leverage transferable roles. Many people break into IT, support, compliance, and all of that. These are feeders into cyber. So you are not starting afresh. You have transferable skills. The other critical thing is start credibility fast. What does the market need? Raphael spoke about that. What do they need in your space specifically? Go look for models. Go look for people in those roles of or have gone through and are in the places you desire to be, and check their framework, check their path. It's not one size fits all, but that is your understanding that, hey, if somebody has done it, you can do it. Another critical thing I'll say is this: Canada is huge on either you like it or yes, there are gatekeepers in Canada, and there's so much around Canadian experience and whatnot and whatnot. But two things beats that. Number one is practical value you are able to offer. So how can you show practical work you've done? Can you build a lab? Can you contribute to an open source? Can you create some small cybersecurity project and that you show evidence that you can do it, right? If you can do all of that, you're already building a system for yourself. And two other things I want to quickly talk about. See, there's what we call the hidden job market. No matter how the market is right now, you agree with me that every day people are getting jobs in the cybersecurity world. Am I correct? You see people announcing that they're getting jobs. And Raf told us over 4 million roles, opportunities are there in the cybersecurity world. The people that are getting the job are leveraging things. Number one, they're leveraging that hidden job market to strategic networking. They are networking their way into opportunities because most of these entry points are not advertised. They come through referrals. Every job, apart from my first job, every job I've done in Canada, including my lecturing job right now, came through referrals. That doesn't mean that's how everybody is. But how did mine come through referrals? It came through referrals because I leveraged networking. And I leveraged networking because I was visible. I was audible. Some of us overthink some of these things, including me. Nobody really cares about you as much as you care about your career. So if you can have this mindset, everybody has an agenda. People want the same thing you want. So you must have that mindset that I have something to offer. And I must not be winking in the dark, hoping somebody will see me. I have to see myself. I have to bring myself to the fore. But more importantly, I have to position myself where the people that needs to see me, where people that needs my skills and competencies need to see me. Every day I recruit for clients. We are trusting for good talent. We are hoping. I made an offer yesterday. I was hoping the talent will not change his mind. Yet many people are applying for the same job, but they differentiated themselves. So three things I said: mindset, positioning, and systems. If you can grab hold of it, after a short while, you will get your results. Entry level, new immigrants, it doesn't matter. What is critical is you understand the way to the city, you understand the mindset that is needed, and you understand how to position yourself in front of the people that are making those decisions. That way, they know you're speaking their language, you're speaking what they want to hear, right? And you're tenacious. You're not discouraged by the rejections because they will come. I hope that helps somebody who is transitioning.
Yeah, thanks so much, Imole, for sharing that. I think we come later to mindset, system, positioning. Before we take one or two from this, I would just ask Binta, do you want to ask your question
Yes, thank
or
you
your
so much.
comment?
I've learned so much, and I'm really grateful for this welcoming atmosphere. We've talked a lot about networking and leveraging connections, but I'm wondering if, I guess, to the whole panel, if you were starting your career over today with no connections, total beginner, what would be the first three steps you take? If there's certifications you would prioritize or experiences that you would probably focus more on that you didn't get to later in your career? Things like that.
Maybe I can jump at it while I allow other people to put their thoughts together. Personally, for me, I think yes, I'm not sure there is a particular thing I would do differently because again, when I was pivoting, don't forget I was in IT support before. I went to school. I still consider it to be the best way to integrate. It may not be the best for everybody, but for me, I think that was the best. Then I needed to get a job. I don't mind if the job is a SOC analyst, if the job is a GRC, I needed a job. I had a mindset of once I'm in 6 months, I can move. I can change my role if I do not like it again. And that was exactly what happened. My first role was a SOC analyst. I actually don't know what was going on because I don't think I like it. A few months after, November to March, I changed. I got a digital forensic role, which I really do love. So personally for me, I think it's great. And I have a framework to share. Maybe I can just quickly go through that. So through my experience, through people I've spoken with, I developed this framework. It's still going to be work in progress, and I call it a path framework, breaking into cybersecurity. Each of the 4 letters there stands for something. Prepare and position yourself. So you ask for 3 steps, I will give you 4. So prepare and position yourself, acquire the necessary skills. You're going to see most of the things that we have been talking about, that Imole has been emphasizing: positioning, mindset, systems. You need to move from your self-doubt to confidence, to telling yourself or figuring it out if this is exactly what you want, and build a mindset. So identify the transferable skills that you already have, because if you don't, you cannot articulate them. Then set rules, set targets of roles that you can actually pursue. I'm not one that supports when pivoters, when people looking for a job will say, oh, I want a job as this, I want a job as this. I'll be like, cast your net, just throw your resume. It's a cybersecurity, and once you are in, if you don't like a role, you can easily move out. And I've spoken with CISO. I have a lot of people in my network that will tell you that sometimes as the head, the lead of a security function in a very big organization, they do not have answer. So they have to go and figure out the answer. It's not like the answer is ready-made. So I would say prepare and position yourself, acquire the necessary skills, test and showcase it. I know people have been sharing a lot of platforms where you can build things. Have GitHub here. You can have a lab. Priya was telling Oscar to be a thought leader. Write on LinkedIn. Look for any community that is able to share whatever you've written. Keep sharing it. Then I would say Anes Network, which is something I'm grateful for. If I had not joined ICT Toronto chapter when I joined in 2019, I'm not sure how far I would have grown. So it's helpful when you are in your network, when you volunteer, when you contribute. It will also give you more content when you're telling your story. The first time I met Anok was when he was to become a director in IC2 Toronto chapter. So you can see how things are connecting. And trust me, I think these 4 steps, you asked for 3, this is 4. So I think they will really help you if you want to answer the question you asked.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I'll add, Raf, based off of just to answer Binta's question, and I know Mani has his hand up as well. So with respect to networking, I think it's important to be thoughtful. I know, Imole, you touched on strategic networking, right? So quality matters over quantity. Like it's not like when you go to a networking event, sure enough, you want to introduce yourself. You wanna hear a little bit about the other person. So you don't want to like quickly scan the room and move and introduce yourself to 100 people, right? When you're not making it stick with any one person. So I think the quality matters a lot. So what that means is that you don't want to make sure that you're scaring away people from from wanting to talk to you at the next networking forum you're seeing them, right? So genuinely try to make a connection with them, understand as to what their role is, understand a little bit more personally about them, right? So go deeper in terms of building the relationship. And then, at a second connect or something, At that time, show your interest in terms of what exactly you're looking for and seek out advice as well, right? If these people, if they have been in the industry for a while, that's one point I will say. Another point is that, yes, there are a lot of people that help from the goodness of their heart with respect to referring you to organizations. But it's also important to know that when you network, be prepared with your elevator pitch. You need to be able to be prepared to sell yourself as well, right? Like when you're talking to them, like you need to showcase that the communication skills, the storytelling, the executive presence, again, depending on the type of role you're looking for. So make sure that before you go into your networking your sessions, be thoughtful, have your plan carved out in terms of understanding who's going to show up, who do you want to build your connections with, what are you going to tell them to make sure that you leave a lasting impression with them.
I saw a comment that I would quickly like us to address. Somebody is saying that networking is least effective approach. I want to respectfully beg to disagree with you. I don't know, maybe you know about what Imole mentioned when Imole was saying something about some jobs are hidden. If there are hidden jobs, those hidden jobs got filled through referrals, through networking. So I don't know how long you've been networking. I don't know how you are networking. I don't know what you're trying to take out of the networking itself. Priya just mentioned quality networking. I will add intentionality to quality. Your networking must be quality, and it's not one day because you are networking today, you are attending an event today, and you want to get the benefit of that. Now, I talk about relationships. So it's a relationship. People give referrals, people give job to people that they can trust. Trust comes from relationship. You build it up. So, and that is why people will tell you, even when you go to an event, you meet somebody, you are pitch your elevator to them, you guys are chatting, you're able to connect with them on LinkedIn. It should not end there. Maybe in a couple of weeks, you go back, hi, I just want to do this just to check up on you. After a while, you're asking, hey, can I just get a coffee chat with you? And I think those are basic things that I personally understood about networking. Then along the line, it gets to the point where somebody will pick up their phone and say, hey, Priya, I'm hiring for a security analyst position level 2. Do you have anybody in your network that you can recommend? And Priya is going to pick her phone and say, hey, Raphael, are you still available? Or do you want to make a switch? Do you want to come work with us? So the networking, I think it's not something that you can read. It's not something you can even get done in a month or the other. So it has to be continuous. You have to build on it. You have to be intentional. So I just wanted to quickly debunk that networking is actually the most effective approach to landing a job or making a switch.
Can I quickly add something to that very well? So, Raphael, you hit it very, very correctly. So sometimes some people have negative experience when networking, and that is life, right? What is critical is you understand the skill. Like Priya said, quality over quantity, right? That's number one. Number two, networking is a skill itself. Networking is a skill. You're not going into networking asking, looking for what you get from them. The critical mindset that helps you win is what can I give? What can I offer? I mean, go online, go to YouTube, watch videos, understand how to network strategically, how to follow up, how to build a system around it. When I'm coaching some people, that's part of our strategy, especially senior professionals who are immigrants. It's a strategy. They have a document that they work on because networking is part of it is value, top of mind, right? You must understand how to navigate that. It's a system, right? It is system. Another critical thing you must understand about networking is this. So you see, people are wary of people always wanting from them. If you can flip the script, if you can know how to position yourself as that value-driven person, and you know how to show up and follow up gradually and be top of mind and keep showing value, people want to associate. They want to associate with you. Every day, people are looking for talent. So it's not a one size fits all. It's not a one-time thing. It's a progressive thing, and it's a skill. It's a skill. Organizations have referral programs. Organizations I've worked with, we pay people when they refer people.
Yeah.
Think about it. We pay people, and trust If Raf introduced Imole to his boss or to an organization, that has cut 60% of the barrier because Raf is referring and organizations pay for that. So you must understand that trust element, especially the Canadian element, that gatekeeping dimension, you can reduce it or break it when you position as value and you network strategically, consistently, and continuously. It changes the game for you. It's a system. So you need to understand that system and key into it. It will not work for some people. It works immediately. I had somebody I was working with and he did informational chat for 1 week. One of those informational chats led to an interview and it led to him getting a job within 1 week. And for some people, it take them 1 month or 2 months. So you must understand that it's a system. If you understand the system, you reduce the barrier and you speed up your chance of getting a desired job.
Okay, good. Let's quickly go to Manny. Thanks so much, Imole, for that insight. Manny, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's been very helpful. I just want to say, Rafael, I studied under you last year. I don't know if you remember me. Probably not. I have two questions. One is directed like towards not specific, it's not directed, but it is about me. And the other question is sort of maybe directed at all of you. So my first question is, so I was unable to get work in cyber, as a freshman, not a freshman, sorry, someone with no professional experience in the field. And it's difficult, of course, for entry level roles, as you guys said. So I was able to get an internship as like a QA tester. But since then, it was a very small company, and since then, I've transitioned into client facing work, like a little bit of project management, that kind of thing, but basically a non technical role. How do people who are working in a non-technical role, right, especially with the economy as it is, let's say I continue to work in this field, I'm doing labs in the background, right, in the evenings and things like that. But as the gap grows between me graduating and me working in a non-technical role, right, let's say 2 more years go by and I'm unable to find work in a technical like cyber role or something, even as a support role or something like that. How does someone deal with making up for that gap in experience as a newcomer into cybersecurity? And is that even worth it? Let's say like I have, someone has kids or something and they're earning, I don't know, like they're earning good money. Like I'm not earning like amazing or anything like that. I'm able to scrape by. But let's say in 3 years or something, I'm able to earn, I don't know, let's say 80,000 or something. And I would be looking for entry level roles that would be paying like significantly less. And I have like, let's say kids or something to worry about or my current lifestyle. How can someone deal with that? And the other question is, I know that's a lot, but the other question is directed towards all of you. How do industry leaders plan to deal with if they're hiring skilled professionals, right? Entry level roles are sparse. If they're hiring more skilled professionals, how would they deal with the future gap of people as they transition out, retire and things like that, when there's not enough trained skilled professionals left because they have been left behind by the industry?
Okay, yeah, thanks so much, Manny. And trust me, I understand your situation. I identify with it. There are lots of my students who are yet to get a job in cyber. Some are doing other jobs. I keep running into them. I still had a chat with a gentleman on Thursday. He's frustrated. He's picking up another job. And I simply told him, if cyber is still your first love, irrespective of what you're doing, you still have to keep that in mind and find a way back. And I also know that survival is number one, especially when you have other humans, dependent solely on you that you cater for. So I understand your situation, but I'll let Priya. I know Priya wanted to jump at this.
Yeah, Money. I'll probably answer the first part of your question. So I know you're a QA tester and then you've evolved and you've moved into project management roles. I think the first thing, and by the way, this happened for me too when I was in Deloitte. I initially was part of their enterprise risk management services pillar, and then I did want to move to the technology risk pillar because I had the experience and that's where I gravitated to. So I would say step number one is that have conversations internally with your team and with your superior, with your manager or slash coach within the organization, just showing your interest, right? Remember, like I think these points were mentioned earlier, you own your career. So don't be shy to voice out. right? In terms of what your interest is. So have conversations with your manager saying that you're looking for more technical roles. And before having that conversation, just see, right? Just do your homework in terms of in terms of seeing if there's any technical roles that your organization is currently hiring for. I know some of the things we mentioned earlier is that, and I'll mention this as well. It is incredible if you land your first role in cybersecurity as a SOC analyst. It's excellent, but it's not the end of the world if it's not, right? So, for example, you can start as IT support. I know that, Raf, you were mentioning this. So, as an IT service desk support counter specialist, you are exposed to, you get your feet wet with respect to basic troubleshooting, right? With respect to, setting up accounts, password resets, and things like that. So, that will build some foundational skills with respect to cybersecurity. Or, be open to a systems admin as well, right? There you get an understanding of, how to manage accounts, how you manage roles, right? From an identity and access management, how you manage access roles and entitlements and all of that. So it's okay to start in another area of IT and then kind of move to cybersecurity. But I think if you're saying that right now you're in a completely different, you're in a project management world, I would say definitely start having conversations with your superiors after having done your due diligence in terms of what roles there are out there. In terms of you not immediately switching, probably you want to talk about a rotation opportunity, right? Like, again, unless you get into it, you don't even know if you like it. So give yourself that chance as well and probably explore that.
Okay, thank you. I have a follow-up to that question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I believe part of the reason I have been getting sort of rejected for these support roles is that my degree is in like computer networking and cybersecurity. And then also with Raphael's class, like part of that course was again, cybersecurity, like response planning. And I feel like, plus, and additionally on top of that, now that I'm doing project management, I feel like their potential like employers are thinking, okay, we're hiring him now. If we do hire him now, he doesn't look like he's going to stay or he's going to want to transition, because a lot of these companies, they want someone like, not necessarily permanently in that role, but sort of like, because I can't even tell them, right, that, hey, listen, so I see you have this degree, like, why are you interested in this role? And if I say something like, which is the truth, that, hey, I want to get more, I want to gain more experience in the actual IT departments at large organizations work, so I can transition into cybersecurity, I'm already talking myself out of that role. And they're, like, oh, he's a project manager. Why is he trying to get this role? We're just going to cancel him out, like AI, whatever, right? ATS trackers. Oh, we're just going to remove his application because probably not a good fit, that kind of thing. Like, how can I know my situation is unique, but how I would be able to not talk myself, not allow my resume to talk myself out of the job before I even, get to the interview stage, and in the interview stage, how I would move past that. If there's any advice from you guys on that.
If I may jump in, Priya, I'm sure you'd have something to add here as well. If I may add, I think focusing more on the near-term objective with that stage of your career pivot is a bit more crucial, right? So focusing on gaining and building that, in the example above, that IT support, infrastructure support type of background experience that you're looking for as a jumping point to cybersecurity is a fair path to have and a goal to have in mind. But when you're going through the motions of your current applications, perhaps if I was in the similar situation, I would focus more on that near-term opportunity itself. Let's focus on what is required of me and what value I can bring to the table for that role in particular, even though I know that this is a transition point. Because you can't transition without having that foundation laid in the beginning, right? So yes. I think kind of taking a step back and doubling down on what you need to get started might be the best way forward to actually being successful into starting on that journey that you're trying to get to in the end. Priya, anything else you'd want to add? Or anybody else for that matter, sorry.
I agree with that, Anouk. Yeah, I think, I would agree with what you said. And the other thing, Mani, I will say is that as you're having these conversations, right? It's important. I see your point in terms of you don't want to talk yourself out of your current job. So it's important to kind of, approach them strategically, right? Like prepare your notes in terms of, before having that conversation, so they don't feel like that you are not good, that you're not interested in project management. You just see it as a stepping stone to a cybersecurity career because that's where your kind of your interests align.
And if I may just add to what has been said, I think project management is also a very huge skill to have, even for cybersecurity. We now have dedicated roles across industries, cybersecurity project management. So I would say that you are not totally out of the way. You're still in line. I think the basic problem also is it starts with the resume. So if you fix your resume, not talking your way out of your current role, but highlighting strategically, as Priya mentioned, everything. I'm just so sorry. I love the word strategy because it is just how exactly will I get to where I'm going to? How do I get what I want in life? So it is just the strategy for me. So it starts with your resume. Unfortunately, I work in risk. So if I'm hiring for a risk analyst and your resume does not speak to risk analysis or anything GRC, it will be very hard for you to even get an interview unless you're referred by a close confidant, somebody that I trust so well and I believe in. So it starts with your resume that will be able to speak to the role that you're applying for, and your ability to balance your current role on your resume without padding. I'm not encouraging anyone to pad, but you definitely have something. You have done something. You've been to school. You have done this. You have done that. And those things can also be highlighted on your resume. There's something they call ATS that scans resume. I didn't work in HR. I don't know how that thing, if that thing is even real, but that's what we talk about. Now, and if it is not ATS, if it is human that is reviewing your resume, the human is looking for certain requirement for a certain role. So if it is missing, such an individual will not even get called for the HR call, talk less of having an interview with the hiring manager. So I would think that, yeah, work on your resume, see how you can blend the school experience you've had. I know I taught you these other professors also, and how you can blend with your current job. And as a project manager, as a quality analyst tester, you have a lot that you can bring to cyber that can actually help you.
Just mentioned something, just into the technical part of applying for cybersecurity jobs. So what I find in Canada, and in addition or beyond some of the strategies we've talked about, what I find in Canada, Canada is very, very bespoke when it comes to your resume. Canada uses resume, not CV. The fundamental difference is that a CV is the story of my life. A resume is the specific information, tailored information that speaks to the job description, that positions as a value statement, that positions as a solution, and as the real person they need for that problem statement, which is the job description. And I'm saying this for two reasons, because he mentioned ATS. ATS is the automatic tracking system, right? In Canada, you have over 60% of organizations using ATS, which means that they use keyword optimization. I don't know if you've heard of SEO. Your resume, two things you need to keep in mind. Your resume, number one, must be optimized, right? Your resume must be tailored and your resume must be optimized. If they are looking for a specific role, they are looking for that role. If they are looking for a plumber, it's good you have experience as a technician or as a cap, that's okay. But more importantly, they are looking for a plumber, which simply means that you must tailor your resume as much as possible. Use optimized words in your resume such that the ATS can pick you if it's ATS and if you're applying directly. But more importantly, so that's one level. The other level is that when they see your resume, except you are going by referrals, even by referrals, they're going to take time to go through your resume because somebody referred you. But if it's not by referrals, keep in mind that when they look at your resume, there's so much resumes they are looking at. It must jump to them that you are that person they are looking for, right? You must speak to that. So you want to ensure that you're amplifying your resume. Like Graf said, I don't believe in lying on your resume, but there's so much you can amplify. That's the word. There's so much you can put in there that speaks, that makes them know that you are the one that can solve their problem based on what you have done or what you are doing and how well you are suitable for that role. So every time you look at a resume, you have to tailor your resume. That's the word. It has to speak. I review resumes every day. I see some resume has no bearings at all. So what is making you want to spend time on your resume? You have to think about that. What is interesting about your resume that says, oh, I need to talk to this person? That's something you need to keep in mind. 80 people applied for a job I was recruited for 2 weeks ago. I just saw about 7-8 good resumes there out of 80 that applied, right? And it doesn't mean all of them meet everything, but they packaged it well. So please keep in mind, your resume is your digital representation. Before they meet you, they will meet that digital representation. So you want to make sure it's optimized. You want to take time to ensure that it speaks. And there are strategies around that. In the world of AI, there's strategies around that. Go and learn that strategy. Don't be lazy. If you can't afford, if you don't have time or you don't have the competence, pay somebody to do that for you, right? It's a competitive market. If you can't do it, pay somebody to do it for you and sit on that. Though you can't afford to be simple or you can't afford to just take it easy because other people are not taking it. So you need to learn that aspect so that you can at least increase your chance as you push for those roles. So that's an important thing I want to drop out there.
Thanks so much. I think I need to repeat this session. I think it should probably last for like maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where we lodge each other in a nice 5-star hotel in Peru or Lima. Thanks so much, Imole.
I love that.
I love how you concluded what you said with the optimization of LinkedIn profiles and also resume. Resume is huge. If you cannot get an HR call, then what is now the essence? So thanks so much for that. I know we are at time, but I don't want to also ignore your hands. Just quickly, let's see if we can take your question.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, a quick one. Still on resume optimization. If you have gap in your career, maybe after school, while you're still job hunting in the tech industry, then all you're currently doing is survivor job. So on my resume, is it appropriate to put the survivor job, even if it's not related to tech, when I'm looking for a role in tech? Because I figured if I leave it out, it's going to leave my employment history. Like I'm going to have a long gap in employment history as if I have not been doing anything since I stopped working in tech for school. And after school till now, I've not gotten a job in tech. So what do you advise?
So don't put your survival job if it's not relevant to the role you are looking for. The biggest question to ask is, what are you doing? Why should I even consider you for these tech roles? What were you doing in all of those times? Having a gap is not the issue. The critical thing is, what value were you imputing, imbibing, or grooming in yourself in all of that? All of us will go through survival. Most people will go through survival. But what were you doing? Were you in school? Were you learning something? Were you interning? Were you volunteering? Were you designing something? So you need to think about it from that aspect. Most immigrants will have gaps. So we had gaps. I worked in a warehouse, but when I was working warehouse, I was interning. Well, I was volunteering, right? So the critical thing is, what are you doing in that gap season? If you did something that is relevant to the role, that is what you want to amplify. And like I said, sometimes you need somebody to work with you to help you amplify this. But if you're working in a warehouse like I was working in a warehouse, it has no value to your cybersecurity role. Except at the base, we always do something that other roles. That probably will show that you maybe have the cultural dimensions, or maybe you understand the Canadian context and all of that. Maybe you're front facing or you worked in the customer service and all of that. But if it's not relevant to that role, it must not be the thing at the top. What was relevant? What did you do in that your gap that is relevant? That's what you want to capture and amplify. Because hey, think about it, it's about value here. So you have to go back to it. Did I volunteer? Was I designing a house? Was I interning somewhere? Was I in school studying this cybersecurity? All of those they are part of your experience. And that's what you want to capture in a way that shows value to the potential employer. I hope that makes sense.
Thanks so much, everyone. I know we've shared a lot of insights. Your public branding is very important as you're trying to pivot, be a thought leader. try to read up, try to write up, try to share. And the journey is not like the same for everybody. Some people are going to get in easily. Some people it may take an extra 2 days or 3 days, or I don't want to say years, but let us just be tenacious. Let us be persistent. Identify, write your transferable skills. What is your current job? What are you doing? How does it relate to where you want to go to? How do you convey, how do you articulate and share that with people? And I think Imole said one thing, that position to pursue pursuing. I wrote it down. I'm going to, frame it and put it behind me sometimes. And he was actually talking about strategic positioning. You cannot be everywhere, but choose where you are going to be. Be intentional about people you're going to be meeting. Most likely, these people are going to be senior leaders. They do not have a lot of time. Have your elevator pitch ready. Keep in touch with them. Yes, you are frustrated because the jobs are not coming as you thought it would be, but just try whenever you're talking to people or you're networking, not to make that the first impression they want to have about you. You want to connect on a normal people to people level. Then you build a connection from there. Keep the mindset, system, and positioning. And yeah, I think we should have another of this session. But before we round up, I also shared the NICE framework, which I consider to be very highly resourceful. I picked some of the things I shared from the NICE framework, and I will advise that you take a look at that. You are also free to connect with any of our panelists today and take the conversation beyond here. You're free to also connect with each other. If you have dropped your LinkedIn profile, that would be great. Just before we round up, any final thoughts, Priya and Imole?
Yeah, I think the one final thought I will say is that continue to have the drive and the persistence. Remember, you own your career. No one else is looking out for you. I will say that. The second point I will wrap up with saying that is that it's fine. Failures are a normal way of life. I've been through many failures in life. Right, that has many, and sure enough, right, like everyone else has, like it's normal, it's okay to fail, but it's important that you learn from them every time, right? And make sure you reflect on them, pivot your approach the next time. For example, if it's an interview where you did not make it, right? You do your reflection, right? And also reach out to the hiring manager and say, hey, I'm interested to improve myself, right? Like, why did I not get this? Are you okay for a feedback call? Or provide me the pointed feedback just to make sure I keep that in mind for future and pivot my approach. So that also helps you with the relationship building. But what I wanted to say is that it's okay to fail, but make sure you reflect on it. Don't dwell on it. Reflect on it and pivot your approach. Learn from your failures.
That's powerful. I love what Priya just said. Reflect on it. Don't dwell on it. Reflect on it. So I just say, what I just want to add is this, that you should know that your struggle is not a stop sign. It's a setup for your next level. That's something you need to keep in mind. You need to also be very intentional about the circle you build. Build a community for yourself. Be intentional, right? It's not a time to isolate yourself. It's a time to build that circle around you, build that network, invest in some healthy relationships of people that have shared interest. Position yourself starts with surrounding yourself with people that believe in you, you believe in them. Don't just wait for people to invest in you. Invest in those relationships. Then position yourself. The world, LinkedIn has 1 billion people, users. Less than 2% people showing up and putting content. Do you understand? Raphael went to sing masters with my wife, but I didn't know him through that. I knew him for the value he shared on LinkedIn. We now met him, was in New York, and we were able to connect. When I saw him, I connected with him because the guy had been sharing value there. I didn't know so much about it, but he was sharing value. Dude, nobody really cares about you as much. Show up. I mentioned it when the word of God. What you know, go to ChatGPT, have some healthy exchange, contextualize it, show up every day. Law of reciprocity, show up for other people. Comment thoughtfully on other people's posts in the world of cybersecurity, in the world of tech. Don't say congratulations, don't say nice one. Comment intentionally, share thoughtful thoughts there for other people, then consistently, 10 people every day. then start doing that for yourself. Then ask for coffee chats. When somebody says no, that's okay. Some people said no to me literally 4 years ago. I saw the chat. Now they want to chat with me. I still say no to some people. It will happen and happen. Another 2 years, I want to chat with them. Don't be discouraged, my brothers and sisters. Don't be discouraged. Do you understand? When you feel discouraged, get a cup of coffee, walk, talk, laugh, cry, come back to the grind. Show up, show up. The world needs you. You must understand that. What you have, what is on your inside is needed. Organizations are looking for people like you. Tenacious, ability to unlearn, adaptable, committed for excellence. That's you. So you have to keep showing up and keep believing in yourself and surrounding yourself with people that will not drag you down, right? And before you know it, you're going to get that desired job and much more.
Yeah, I completely agree with Imoli. Like paying it forward, right? Like I like to say, you get what you give, right? So make sure that as you have mentors that kind of help you as well, you kind of help the next generation as well, right? Like paying it forward, so we're a close, tight knit community, knowing that we're here for each other. I mean, that matters a lot. And I will wrap up saying this. I mean, yes, I think like Imole and Raf, you mentioned, right? Like the world needs us, right? Cybersecurity is a hot market demand and will forever be, right? Remember that AI is not going to replace us, right? Entry level roles, again, you need to upskill, maybe. But the thing is, cybersecurity, AI is not here to, to take away our jobs. So I'll say, continue to forge ahead, push boundaries. Nothing is impossible. We're all here for each other.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. I'm not going to repeat what you guys have said. Don't forget. Somebody said that you're playing it small actually does not benefit your immediate community, your family, and the world at large. So I would say that when you fail forward. So whenever I make mistakes, whenever I look at myself and I be like, okay, what have you done to yourself? I take a step back. I get a hot amala. That's for those of you that doesn't know amala. Amala is a local dish from Nigeria. I get a hot amala. I sleep thereafter. Then I continue again. So you say that we overthink. We think other people are overthinking about us. The same way you're thinking about your situation, other people are thinking about their own situation. So it's just that. So, and I'm not promising anybody. That's why I didn't really say send your resume to me. I do not have a job. So one thing you can do for yourself is that do not just stop. Just keep pushing it. And I do hope we have another session very soon. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. This was great.